All right. I need to put some headphones on here just to make sure I can hear myself. There we go. Okay, that looks like that's working. Good. All right. Hi, Butch. Nice to see you here. Hoping sounds okay. I've been fiddling back and forth with this for so long that it's just a pain. But anyhow, I'm going to switch the cam to me here. Front cam, back cam. There we go. Oh, that's the back cam. I meant to switch it to me. There we go. Let's try that again. All right. There we go. Now I can come up here and all right, here we are. Hi, Angelica. Nice to see you. Thanks for those who are tuning in, showing up. Really appreciate. Today's going to be kind of fun. It's a holiday, so I figure like everyone's home and really bored, unless you've been going to church, and of course then you're not bored at all. Sasha, you reminded me, anyone who's tuning in, if you let me know where you're tuning in from, that would be really great. It's kind of exciting to know which parts of the world are checking in on this. The reason why my head's cut off again is because I've got my iPad in front of me and I'm just going to switch the camera around so you can watch and see what I'm doing. So the theme of this particular live stream is the idea of playing. And, we get so kind of hung up on trying to make a masterpiece and trying to make a really good painting. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but you have to learn to play before you can perform. It takes practice to do anything. And the best way to do this is to just fool around with paint, try different things. I don't think I've ever stopped doing this since art college. There was a course that I took in art college, and the teacher was really an interesting guy. Don Sinclair is his name. And it was called Illustrative Techniques. And Illustrative Techniques was just this idea of really trying a lot of different ways to illustrate. So the first week, as I recall, when we went in, the first project we had was to pick a subject that we wanted to paint all year. And that sounded kind of ridiculous. Why would we want to paint the same thing all year? But we had to do it in 5 different techniques the first week. So, we did the normal stuff like, a watercolor, a drawing, a little oil painting. We did pen and ink. So, we did 5 techniques. And that was great. We took them all in, and most of us had sort of the same ideas. Maybe somebody worked with charcoal and someone worked with pastel, but anyhow. He looked at them all, and we had picked a simple subject. As I recall, I think mine was a glass with an apple beside it or some such thing. Honestly, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But anyhow, a simple subject. It could have been a loaf of bread, now that I think about it. Anyhow, did that in 5 techniques. Then he said, well, I want you to come back next week, and I want you to do it in 5 new techniques, ones that you haven't done already. Well, the entire year, we had to do this. We had to come back and illustrate this subject 5 different ways every week. And you can imagine, like in the end, we were painting on toilet paper, and we were painting on a piece of brick, and taking a piece of glass and painting on the back of it. And if whatever you can imagine, we did. There were some pretty creative people in there. Take a potato and do a carving of it and make a stamp out of it. It was just the most unbelievable course, really. It was just phenomenal. And so I think I never stopped experimenting, because I realized that there's no end of the things that you can do. I'm seeing people here from the Netherlands, Holland, yeah, and very nice, and from Germany, and from Gmundeberg. I hope I'm saying it right, Angelica. Anyhow, a few Austrians. I've noticed when I'm checking through the stats that there are a number of people who watch this from the United States and also from Canada. So it's really exciting to have people from all over the world. I love this. Yeah, Sasha, in response to your comment, he was really trying to teach us to think for ourselves, so we weren't falling into the same trap and doing the same old thing all the time. And in the process of doing that, we found different ways of solving problems, and we also learned new techniques, and it really kind of gave us a lot of tools so that we would have those in our toolbox, if I could say that. And later in life, in my illustrative life, that really made a big difference, because now and then we had to fix something. We had to, fix a mistake, and we would have to find a creative way to do that. Maybe it meant patching something in, or cutting over top of something, putting a clear acetate over top, and painting on the acetate. Acetate is like a clear plastic that you used to be able to paint on or draw on. It was called workable acetate. Robert, yes, painting with both hands at the same time. This is a really fun way to work, painting and drawing with both hands. I have my students do that at the Avenue Road Art School sometimes. It's fun to do portraits that way, by the way, because we're very sort of centered, our 2 eyes and so on. And if you imagine that you're sort of conducting an orchestra with both hands, it gets fairly easy to keep your drawings consistent on both sides. Hi from the West Coast, Ireland, Robert. Nice to see you here. So what I'm going to do today, I don't know if it's going to work. I have a big toolkit of different ideas and thoughts and, ways of working, but this is an experiment, and you guys may see a complete failure. And if you do, you'll know not to do it that way. And I'll know not to do it that way either, or maybe I'll have to try it again to see if I can do it. It's important to challenge yourself. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not learning. And I really believe that if you don't make mistakes, and if you don't, fail, then you don't learn a thing. If you're just brilliant from the start and everything looks the same and it looks wonderful, it's actually boring. So maybe it's beautiful, but it's boring for you. So push yourself. It's a really good idea to try different ways of working. So I'm going to start with an image. I'll share the screen, and you'll see I've done a portrait. I'm going to flip this around. This is, before I flip it around, I'm going to show you this. So this is a portrait of someone that I did from life. And it's really awful. I actually don't like it at all. The head's too long. The eyes are too close together. She was much more beautiful than this. She looks like they put her into a machine and stretched her somehow or other. And what I want to do is I want to work right over top of this and see if I can't improve it. My plan is to put a hat on her, and the hat will hide some of that big head that she has there, but I may have to change the position of her eyes. And I'll probably want to do something with the background. And because this has been painted earlier and because it's very dry, it's painted on wood, by the way. It's, I think it's poplar. No, I'm not sure. It's poplar plywood. And I think that if I paint right over top of this, then I'll be able to take things away if I don't like it, because the paint underneath is dry. I've given it a very light coat of oil, combination of oil and thinner. So it's just linseed oil. And to run through the colors that I'm going to be using, I'm not showing my palette today. I've actually got a camera on order. It's supposed to be here today, and I was going to have that sitting over top of my palette, but I don't have it yet. It'll come in the end of today for sure. So the colors that I'm working with, I want to show you this one in particular, which is a very nice white. I don't know if any of you have ever used this. Let me just, I've got to switch up my screen here. Let me just do this. Camera. Okay. And we're going to go to this here. All right. So this is something called Primelba White. If any of you have ever used this, you'll know how beautiful it is. It's made by Weber. They've been around since 1853, apparently, if you can see that label. And it's called Primelba White. It's a titanium and zinc mix. And it's just a beautiful buttery white that I love to work with. I have to order it from the United States. I can't get it here in Canada, unfortunately. I just got 3 of them 2 days ago, and I'm so excited to have this. When I'm not using that, I'm using the same thing in Old Holland, which is titanium and zinc mix. And of course, Old Holland is a lot pricier than Primelba. I like the Primelba. It's good quality. It's been around a long time. A lot of portrait artists like to use it. And the Old Holland, of course, is very beautiful, full of pigment, and it's heavy and lovely to work with. But I think that the Primelba holds up pretty well against it. Sometimes I'll combine the two. The Primelba is just a little bit cooler in color, whereas the Old Holland is slightly warmer. So I'm going to grab some, I was going to go through my colors, sorry. I'll just continue with that. So I've got Cad Yellow Light, which is a Winsor & Newton. I've got Cadmium Yellow Deep, which is Old Holland. I've got Magenta, which is Old Holland. I have what is this here? Alizarin Crimson. I have a little bit of Alizarin Crimson, Old Holland. I have an Old Holland Orange, Cadmium Orange. I have a Viridian, sorry, that's a Lucas paint, which I just happen to have. Transparent Oxide Red, which is a fabulous color if you want to get to a quick flesh color. That and white, and you can add in blues and greens and so on to neutralize where you need to. And then I have a Rublev Cypress Umber Dark. So that's my range of colors. I've pre-mixed some colors which you can't see, of course, but that gets me through this a little quicker. So I'm not sort of sitting around mixing colors. You can't see my palette anyhow. Hi from the Netherlands. Petra, I'm happy that this is a good theme. Really, the theme is about playing today. So I'm going to grab some Alkyd here. And the Alkyd medium is something that's, well, it dries things faster. It's Liquin Original. That's what this is. And it's an Alkyd medium. And I'm just going to put some of that over top of the face right here. It's a little bit better in some ways than the oil that I've used because it's a little thicker, and it's very forgiving. I can sort of take it away when I want to. I can add to it, and I want to soften this image down because right now it's a very sort of hard edge everywhere. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab sort of a mid-range filbert brush. So it looks like this. And just start putting some colors in where I think they should go. Actually, before I even do that, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a little bit dramatic. I want to put a hat on her. So the hat's going to go in here. And you'll see what happens when I do this. I can actually see through this color, which is kind of cool. So I know where her head is underneath. I know what I want to cover up. And this is a color that is a combination of magenta and alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. So I'm just going to throw this in here. And because none of this is permanent, I can keep moving this around as much as I want. We'll see if I can make this turn into anything believable. I'm going to go into this Rublev just to get a little bit more opaque and get a little darker area here. And I don't want to get too hung up on a lot of details. I'm really more interested in the mood of this than anything, the feel. Just going to get that going so I know roughly where that hat's going to go. All right. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right. Losing my voice here. Maybe that's good. You can just watch me paint. All right. Now I want to go into the flesh colors a little. I'm going to put sort of some lighter areas in just to give me a sense of where I want the light to be. I'm going to change the lighting condition on this. I want to have the light coming from this side here. And just going to drop this stuff in here. Just working with a bigger brush softens things up right away. It's a pretty good sized brush, and it's from Above Ground Art Supplies here in Toronto. It's a Taklon. It's like a man-made product. Okay, and I'm just going to pull this eye down and out a little further this way. And while I'm at it, I'm going to use the same color, but I'm going to maybe bring in a touch of that violet, make it a little bit darker, and put it over on this side here. And this looks really kind of crazy right now, but there it is. I want to get rid of that blue that's coming down the side of the face. I don't think it's very interesting. It was interesting when I painted from life. It was kind of, a neat light. But when I look at it later, I find it's just too overpowering. It's not the kind of mood that I want. And let's just take that rim light right off that side of the face there. I'm just using some darker color here, which is mostly like the Rublev, that umber, which is Cypress Umber Dark. That's what I'm using. And I'm just going to block this in. I'm really squinting at this and trying to just get a sense of a feel for this. I don't want to get all hung up on lots of, bright colors and so on right now. I just want to create this mood. Okay. Like already for me, this is a better painting. Seems crazy. All right. Sasha, do like Stefan and drink something. I bet you don't talk so much at other times. If you know me, I talk all the time. Like I never shut up. So it's funny because I'm a little bit nervous when I do these live streams because I do sort of have this running commentary. Somehow or other, when I'm looking at a screen or I'm looking at what I'm painting here, makes me more nervous than when there's people around. So I feel like I'm talking to myself, which is a little strange. Now this is just a rubber tool that I showed last time. This is from the Princeton Brush Company, and it's something for moving paint around. And I can go back in to the paint that I put down and just move it around. I just want to block things right now. I can even use my finger. The neat thing is that I've got some structure underneath here already. And that structure will come through if I take the paint away. I'd like to do something with her hair that sort of feels more of the era of her hat, if that makes any sense. And I'm actually looking at a photo to sort of give me, you can't see the photo, but I'm looking at a photo to give me the ideas to the hairstyle and the hat that she's wearing. I can paint it out of my head fairly well, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, I want to have a little better reference. So I'm going to have her hair look this way here. And, you know, when I'm working this way, just these brush strokes coming in from the medium that's underneath from that alkyd gives a softness that I like. Because again, I'm really trying to go for mood here. I'm going to change the angle on this hat ever so slightly. Put it in this way. It's a little bit more dramatic. And it's got already a feel that I'm liking. These blues are just sort of killing it right now. So I'm gonna kill those. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in and just bring it more into the violet feel, which is what this painting has overall. I'm using this violet color theme. A little bit of that blue peeking through here and there. It's funny, it doesn't hurt right there in the nose. I'll probably get rid of that. But just to create a sense of atmosphere, really want to get that working. And just softening the edges really helps this a lot, I think. I'm going to take that same color from her hat and put it down into whatever she's wearing here. It's kind of an interesting collar thing happening. And I'm just going to keep that violet theme going. Just getting rid of all that wood that's behind here, which is a little distracting. And at this stage, I don't want her to have a long, narrow head like she did before. So this is when I can actually cut her head down a little bit so that it feels more like a real person's head. All right. I like this. Zombie stewardess and transvestite. You know, when I do these things, I realize I'm doing this in front of people with a lot of imagination who are visually inclined. So these comments are funny. Okay. Now, one of the things that can be kind of fun is just to take, you know, right now I've got kind of flesh color going here. I can take a little bit of that violet and a bit of the blue and go in a transparent way. I just want to see what this looks like. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I want to bring some of that color into the shadow areas here so that, again, it carries the violet theme over into her lips and into the side of her face here. And I'm thinking from dark to light as I do this. Like to make her look a little more beautiful if I can. Getting rid of information, less is more. I talk about that a lot. You don't need to show everything to make something work. The mood of something is, or the feeling that you get from a painting, to me, supersedes the technique. And yeah, you can have great technique and it can look very beautiful, but it's really important to get the feeling of the painting that you're working on. All right, I'm going to throw in some hair here. Comes in front of her face, just a little there. I need some darks to pull off this hair properly. Go in behind her neck, maybe here. Okay. And on this side of her head over here, I'm just going to have it kind of crisp right there. This is kind of the fun stuff because you know, this is when you get to play and design the shapes that you want. Just be free with it. Draw with the brush. It's always important to keep drawing with your brush. Like imagine that you're working with a piece of charcoal, for example, and you want to just get those shapes to work. I'm going to throw in a hint of a highlight here so I know where the light's falling, right in about here. Maybe it picks up a little different color in over here somewhere. And of course, I'm going to need some on the other side over here. And the brush is kind of doing the work here for me. When I say that, you know, the hairs on the brush makes hair look like hair. All right. Now you can't see it, but in the hat that I have as reference in front of me, there's sort of this big flower thing that happens. And I don't want to get too much into the details of that. I don't think it's necessary because, again, I'm going for the mood of this. But there's this sort of flower thing that happens. Again, always looking at the big shapes to try and make sure they make sense. All right. Okay. I'm just going to extend. It's important, like you get into details like this and you can get really hung up on these things for a while. So I just want to get some background in here, more of that, and just give my eyes a rest from looking at one area too long. If you look at one area too long, you start to become myopic, I think is right, or maybe have tunnel vision. So you're just looking at one area for too long. You don't see the whole thing. It's really important to look at the whole image because in the end, you want to end up with a whole painting that is cohesive. Now, in the painting that I did of her before she had an earring, and I'm not going to put that in. I'm just going to leave that out for now. Anyhow, maybe I'll put it in later, but I just want to eliminate that. I find this distracting. Still kind of working on this violet theme and behind. And her lips. Okay, this is kind of going to be interesting. I've got a fairly bright color here that I'm going to put in. Don't know if it works. We'll try it. And the shadow area in her lips there, she's got huge lips. Want to put a bit of a highlight on the lips. And right now I'm using a brush that feels a little too big for the job, which is good. Really believe in that. Going to go back into the flesh colors a little bit here and just start to refine things a little more. Going to get rid of that little blue spot there. I want to soften this down here. Just running your brush along the edge of, two colors that are wet beside each other, of course, blends them. And because I have medium underneath, it helps blend it out as well a little. I've got a lot of shadow in here. Maybe I want to pick up just a bit of a hint of her eye there. I don't know if I'm going to pick up anything in there or not. I don't know. Okay. She looks like she's in a bad mood. That's for sure. So I'm going to turn the mouth up just a little. It does help when you do that. So this is like painting with something underneath, but it's inventing at the same time. And, trusting your gut on this. If it looks wrong, get rid of it. Right? A little bit more, a warmer color in her chin. You have to watch it when you're painting women, because too many changes in the color in the face can make it look a little bit bizarre. But we do have more color in our nose and our cheeks, of course. I've just got a little more chroma in here, that's all. Is it all like a wet and wet technique if you were kind of wondering what you would call this? Those of you who know how to paint know what I'm talking about. It's just keeping it fresh and loose. And I'm going to bring even more color into her face there and into her chin. Giving her a chin like a man. Yeah. Cherry blossom lip color. It's cherry blossom season right now. I want to refine her face a little more. I'm going to come in from the side and just narrow her face down a little bit. So it's a little bit sharper here. And her chin should be just a little bit more refined. Okay. Want to go into the shadows on this side of her upper lip here. Just work that out a bit. A little darker underneath the nose. Okay. And I'm going to go a little bit darker on that side of her lips here. And here I'm going to knock that down a little more. So this is like really just trying to find the right values to make this work. And when you get it, you know you do. You don't get it, well, you know that too. So I'm going to bring a little more reflection in her hair so that it gets a little more attention this way. And really, this way of working is just a lot of fun because I'm not trying to do something that is that's kind of like a finished painting, let's put it that way. I'm just playing right now. And if I don't like it, I just get rid of it, honestly. Like I could go over this and just take all the paint away again. Which I won't do unless I have to. I'm just going to go in here, playing with these colors. I'm going to lose her neck here in the shadows. I'm kind of tempted now as I look at this to put that whole side in shadow. And let's see what that looks like. I'm just kind of curious, see if it works. So I'm going to go over here and bring a little bit more of that violet in so that it stays in color harmony. Maybe that's more interesting. I have to watch my values here. I want to lose some edges here. So to keep it soft, I just want to keep looking at my edges and making sure that nothing is detracting from the main subject here. I'm going to go into the hair again over here, and let's so that we pull the eye over a little more this way. And maybe the hair comes out this way a little. It's going to look like a very different person than what we started out with, that's for sure. Now, this part of the neck is too strong, all of that there. So I'm going to knock that down, tone that down a lot. Just going to bring that back into, so it's a little darker. And because I have some of that dark color behind there, I can even put some of that dark color over on the other side. So because I brought her face in a little on this side, I need to also be thinking about the neck in there. What's the neck doing? Okay, here's a moment where I can, because it's all wet here, I can take paint away. I can go into this and just lift that out, leave that edge soft. And just work my way into that until it sort of feels right. Now, when I look at this over here, sort of feel like I want to lose even more of that. Okay. I have no idea what she's wearing here. I just am putting color where I think it might help to create some focal areas. It's kind of a focal area there right now that takes us up through here. This is going to be another focal area here in her hat. It's a sharp edge there. Sharp edge, and maybe we'll just bring a little bit more of an accent into her lip right there so that we're carrying some of these darks through. I'm looking for rhythms here. Give her a mustache. Yeah, I can do that. But I won't. Just gonna go in here. So a little smaller brush, and okay. I want to look at areas that might be little highlights. And let's pop something in here. I'm going to lighten this over here. Maybe there. What I like about working this way is when the accidental works, you leave it alone. And of course, if it's not working, you get rid of it. So just playing again with values right now to try and give this a sense of believability. Get those eyebrows working. That's funny. She's got a crazy looking eye there. So what I'll do is just get rid of that crazy looking eye socket there. I'm going to soften that down. And just the tiniest little detail might be all I need to pick this up. I'm going to see if this works. I don't know if it will. But just a little spot that catches her upper lid. Again, I don't want to get too fussy here because this is still sort of in a developing stage. Her lipstick is pretty intense. I have to knock that down for sure. So I'm going to do that. And her mouth looks a little ridiculous right now. And the outside of her mouth is just, her mouth is too big now. Just want to simplify this area a little more. Give her a little bit of that, what do they call it, rosebud kind of lip feel. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to just take a dry brush, just really a fine dry brush, and just go over areas where I want to pull the values into a better relationship with each other. This is a little too dark right here, and I want to just get her lower lip looking a little bit more believable. I don't know if I did that successfully. I don't think so. Okay, and her upper lip is still a little too dark there, so I'm going to go and lighten that up a little. And she probably has nostrils, but you know, I don't want to get too much detail going in here because it can be detracting. Yeah, lower lip is really big, isn't it, Sasha? Yeah, let me just pull that up a little higher. And get that shape underneath working better. Oh, make her mouth really small at this rate. Now what I want to do is I just want to start to block in a little bit more paint and just start to create a little more form. Again, going back in with areas that have a little more chroma, you know, up in her cheeks. The best part about this is if you don't like it, you just wipe it out and start over. I like the title after leaving Leonard lost all her money at the racetrack. Okay, so I wanted to have kind of an overall soft look to this. So just taking a dry brush and going over the edges that are too crisp, I can just pull things out of the way. Oh, got rid of that little cute little bow thing that was happening in her mouth. Smallest changes in the mouth just really are so. This is something that Stefan is so good at. He paints his way around and around until suddenly it looks right. So, all right. She's funny looking. You meet people you've never seen before when you paint this way. On your easel. Okay. I could go just crazy on this painting. And, well, I guess that's the idea. I'm experimenting here. So when you're doing this, you can just keep playing until you either hate it or you say, you know what, there's something in that I like. She looks like someone I know. I don't know. It's weird. Okay, so I want to put a couple of little things up in the hat. I'm going to try and focus on another area for a little while. And I want to bring a little more highlight into this here. And here as well. And I'm going to chunk in some darker colors in behind her again. I just sort of feel like it needs a little more something going on in behind. So I've got a little more ultramarine blue in this now. You can see that blue starting to come out. Lose her hair there into the background. And I'm going to take that blue over to the other side as well. So you get a sense of where her neck is. I want it to look kind of like an old, like she's like an old classic, like a movie actress or something like that. It's possible. Okay. I'm going to go fairly dark back here. I'm going to lose part of the hat behind there. And just get some nice textures going. Covering these areas that are not important. Our eyes are drawn to light. So, very often you'll see kind of a vignette thing happening with the old portrait painters. They'll just keep the background fairly dark and the face kind of comes out of it. If you're sort of working in the classical way, not really working in the classical way here entirely, but anyhow, just going to keep that dark all the way around. And in the foreground, maybe we'll go just a little bit lighter down in here. Let the brush strokes follow the form. getting some reflection happening here. Sorry about that. Okay. Just want to knock these areas down that are just a little too light. Let them be a little bit less defined. Having said that, I have to use a little more opaque up in here now because I'm covering over the paint that was underneath. So I'm going to go in there. I've just grabbed a bit of yellow ochre and add some more opaque and just define what's happening with the hair here a little more. Now I want to go into this hat and just bring up a little bit of something. So there are flowers. There's a big flower that happens in this hat, and I'm not going to go for all the detail in it. I don't think it's important. But I can put in a couple of sparkles. Like so. Just the tip of the brush here. It's picking up a little bit of light here and there. Looks like someone pushed her lower lip to one side. Yeah. Looks like she's sticking her tongue out. I'm just going to define this a little better. Trying to keep this area soft without it being too, fussy. Yeah, it's a horrible mouth. So this is the stage where when I look at it and say, well, you know what, I actually really don't like the mouth. So what I do is I take an old sock, which sometimes you can't find the pair to your sock. And then what you do is you just take the old sock and some thinner and you just pull off the paint that you put there. And I can see my old drawing underneath. I think my new mouth was better than the one that was underneath, but I want to start over in this area. So I'm just going to take it away. That's what I'm going to do. Just take the paint away and start over. That's how you learn to do better mouths, hopefully. Okay. I'm going to try and build from the darker shapes up. And let's see if I can get her mouth working better. If it ends up looking the same, it doesn't really matter. Like, honestly, this is just, I'm playing. That's what this is about today. And I'm going to go in with that bright color again and just put it in there. Actually, I think making her mouth a little bigger like this helps, frankly. And it's too big on this side over here, for sure. And I think I'm going to get rid of those little edges. I need to go in a little bit darker. Make sure your values are right. That's really important. Going to soften this area down here. Go in underneath a touch. Get rid of that blue that I see that came through from the old painting underneath. And just keep working my way up here. Actually, I kind of like this color here. I'm going to bring it up into here a little bit. It's kind of a nice halftone. Kind of like it. And let's bring a little of that color down into here. Sometimes you accidentally end up with a nice color. Wow, her lips look like bubble gum right now. It's funny. That's a seriously bright color. So I'm going to knock that back. Complement to red is green. So I'm going to go into the viridian that I have and just neutralize that a little with the viridian. And it takes away the intensity of that color. May not look right, but it takes away the intensity. Wow. Look, my mouth is looking worse and worse all the time. Good, Andrew. So it's a good thing I'm doing this and just calling this play, because if this was supposed to be like a serious portrait, you'd all be leaving about now if you haven't already. Okay. I have to go into these lips even more. Now, the thing is that when you're working, I'm not working from reference. I'm kind of working from my imagination at the same time. So it's really important to have good reference, by the way. I still hate her mouth. Doesn't look right. So guess what? I'm going to bring out that sock again. I don't have an obsession about pink lips. Maybe I should make them more flesh color, like real. Maybe I should just leave the ones that were there. They probably look better, period. And just gently put in a little bit of color that looks more believable. Okay, maybe I will do that. Let's just see what that looks like. I'm going to get some of this warmer flesh color here. Yeah, okay. And maybe go more towards the warmer colors as opposed to those very cool reds that I had going. And let's see what that looks like. Curious. This is like totally out of context color-wise with the rest of the painting. But maybe it looks more realistic as far as the kind of color someone might wear. I'm going to bring a little bit more violet into that so that it's not completely out of harmony. Now, you know, I could spend like a whole day just trying to paint this mouth. She's really frowning at me now. She's really not happy. The tongue again. It's funny. Looks like she has a tongue sticking out. Isn't this fun? You get to watch me make mistakes and not make it work right. And that is the whole point of this session today. Now, that sounds ridiculous, but what I'm trying to say is you just keep playing and fooling with this and moving things until you get it, right? So there was a time I was working on a subject in Munich, and I had a hell of a time trying to paint the hands of the model that was sitting there. And I just tried it so many times, and finally, one dear person came along and just threw a towel over the hands and said, "Here, just paint that instead," which is what I did. Solved my problems. Okay. Maybe it's a little closer to something. I don't know. Really don't know, honestly. It pulls up at least the color that I see in her cheeks up here. So that might have been a better decision. Nose. I haven't even started trying to make a good nose here. Okay. All right. right? A little more color in the chin, a little more chroma to try and pull these colors into relationship with each other. Like I said, I knew you would learn something today. Maybe it's the way not to do something. And that's the point. It's like, okay, try different things until it works. Okay. I'm just going to soften things out a bit here. And I'm going to go in with a little bit of dark in the corners here. But I still want to keep that basic color in place, so I don't want to lose that. How are we doing time? Okay, too. We got a little bit of time. I'm going to go in and just fiddle a little more. Fiddling is really a dangerous thing because it looks like you're fiddling. Which is what I'm doing right now. It's going to bring that lip down a little more and get this area around her mouth to look a little bit gentler. Any minute now, I'm just going to stop working on the lips and do something else. It's always a good idea. Keep moving. Remember I said keep moving your eye around the whole painting, painting the whole thing as a complete unit. And you can see I haven't been doing that. So there's one of the things I have to remember to tell myself as I'm going. I can't tell anyone else if I'm not doing it myself. Make that nose just a little simpler and a little wider right there. The end of her nose looks like it needs a little bit more shape to it. And I'm going to go over to this cheek over here. All right. I've looked at this long enough. Okay. All right. So what I want to do now is just put in a couple of highlights in a couple of the other areas so that you stop looking at her face. And I'm going to bring that crazy pink color that we had out before, and I'm just going to use that to create some highlights here. Maybe it picks up over here. And maybe it even picks up a little in the hat up top. And I don't know if that helped anything at all, but that's what we've done. This is interfering. Her eyes look like they're too close together. So I'm just going to get rid of, we don't know where that other eye is right now. I'm going to keep it in darkness. So why not? It's okay to do that. Bring in a little more darkness in her hair, right in here. And let some of the shapes that are behind come up in here. And I don't like what's happening here. This is a very dangerous thing to paint from your imagination if you think you're going to end up with something brilliant, by the way. It's very risky doing this. You just don't know how it's going to go. So, but it's really, really fun because, you know, if you're not taking any risks, if you're just playing safe all the time, well, then you're not learning either. I really believe that. So it's important to just play, just trust yourself to play like we would in a sandbox as kids. No, if it doesn't look right this way, do something, change it, make it look different. And I know that doesn't sound like a structure to follow. The basic lesson in it is that we are supposed to play and just experiment and try things. Because if you don't, you're just not going to learn. Huh. It's like being a police artist. Huh. Yeah, you don't give up with difficulties or wrong strokes. Yeah, thanks, Rita. It's really true. If you give up, well, then you're done, right? So I'm just going to pop a little something over here and a little dark underneath that. Now I'm really getting into details. I really don't need any of this stuff here. But I'm putting them in because I just want to ruin it. So there we go. Okay. I'm going to do something really crazy. Let's see if I can do this. It's a very odd looking person. This is a new brush that I just got, by the way. It's called an Egbert, and it's a Catalyst series by Princeton. I don't know if you can see that. I just got these up from the US as well. Look at the length of the brush. And it's a poly tip, they call it. So I've just got them in, and I haven't tried this with it yet, but I'm going to, just for the heck of it, I just want to run the tip of this brush through here. Oh yeah, this is a good way to move your paint around. And I want to create a little bit of a movement to this. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Sometimes I do this with a palette knife. And it seems kind of crazy to be doing this, but then what you do is you just go in. I like this brush, it's neat. And you can pick away at areas where you want to soften it. Maybe it'll help me with my mouth over here, I don't know. And maybe it'll just make a big mush of color and it doesn't work at all. I really don't know. Just playing right now, just having fun. So I'm holding it at the very end of the brush, so I'm not getting too much of my wrist into it. I remember one of my teachers doing this in art college, where he painted something and then went over the whole thing and started all over again. Starting all over again sounds like a song. So now it looks like it's raining around her or something. I'm going to take a little bit of color into the brush and start to fill out some of these shapes, soften things down. I do like this brush. Nice. I don't know if it's helping my painting, but I like the brush. Now what I'm doing is really destroying a lot of the color that you see here. So it's becoming very kind of mucky, and there's no form in her face anymore. It's just become all about the lips somehow. Well, that's weird. Now it looks like some kind of cartoon. That's fun. uh, she looks a little bit like some kind of doll. Oh, that's really awful. Okay. Well, that was fun to try. All right. So I know that at any point in time, if I want to, I can go into this. And I'm going to try something that I haven't done in a while. And this is another little fun technique. I'm going to need a straight edge. Let's use this one here. And this is going to look really strange when I do this initially. It might not work, by the way. I haven't done this in a while, so let's see if it still works in any way. I'm just going to put a straight edge here, and I'm going to pull the paint away along that straight edge. And all I'm doing is just taking the paint away. It looks very bizarre. And I'm going to do it from the other side as well. Now, I could use a rag to do this as well, maybe some paper towel. I'll do that. This woman's had a rough day. She's like, her face keeps changing all the time. I just love doing this stuff because I never know what's going to happen. But I'll never know what's going to happen unless I try, right? Well, that's kind of cool. Maybe I shouldn't have done anything on this painting. Should have left it alone. This is more interesting to me than the way it started out. Okay, put this up here again. And just wipe through that. Bring in a little more thinner. Do it again and just clean it up further. She looks like she has some kind of strange skin disease. But now there's something happening that I kind of like. Yeah, it looks like a truck drove over. Okay. Now I'm having fun. This is really fun. Because there's something underneath that has some structure to it. And what's over top is just kind of confusing. But I'm going to take that stripe right out of there. And then go over top with that big brush that I had before. And see if I can't make something out of this now. I'm going to just dry this brush off a little, bring in just a little bit of color. And I posted an image that was something like this at one point. It was a man's face. It wasn't a woman. And it was kind of fun because I was just, again, sort of playing with color and this idea of something visible on one side and or in the middle and not on the outside or inside. It creates a focal point. At the end, we get back to where we started, Sasha. You're right. Thankfully, because we have Liquin down. Or if you want to do this with oil, you can do that. And this is a really crazy way of painting, but wow, is this ever fun? I actually really enjoying this. Sometimes the accidental is just way more interesting. Now I want to bring a little bit of the color that I have here into her eyes so that somehow or other they connect better. Just going to get rid of the information there. Just a bit of a ghosting of it there. It looks like she's looking through some kind of curtain. Yeah, sort of weird. But that's what it is. I'm going to go in and bring a little bit of color. Okay. Liking this new brush that I got. Which is something I can recommend, by the way. Keep changing your tools. Like, try new brushes. Try, pieces of plastic and put paint down with plastic. Just keep experimenting, and you'll find ways of putting paint down you hadn't thought of before. I feel like it should actually be darker in that area, not lighter. Let's just see what happens when I do this. Getting rid of that blue somewhat. Maybe just leave a touch of it. Why not? And getting darker as I go into the area underneath her chin. Bet you never thought I'd do something like this, because I didn't even know I would. So there we go. That's why I love working this way, just playing. So it needs to have some sort of more to the story here. So I'm going to bring this down to the bottom. That color. Oh, look what happened there. Just by mistake, it picked up that little thing, right? There's texture that's underneath. Looks like her head's exploding from that side. I wonder what happens if I do it over here. That's less effective. I sort of feel now like I want to bring in a little more dark color through here. I think this guy's crazy. What the heck is he doing? It's fun. Okay. I'm going to let it get darker down there. It's getting too much attention. This brush I like because it's giving me some nice textures. They're huge, long bristles on this brush. Like that's, I don't know, like 2 inches. I don't know what that is in centimeters. You can get nice big soft passages with this. Moves it around nicely. And I can soften things out very nicely too. Nice. Holds a generous amount of paint, and yet you can control it. Nice. Okay, I'm going to go in just a little bit darker in this section through here. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. And that, maybe it's just distracting. I don't know. On the other hand, maybe I should just try pulling off even more and see what happens when I do that. It's kind of fun. And I'm going to pull off a little over here too. Oh, look at that. I picked up her earring that was underneath. If I do it here, pick up a little bit of her shoulder. That's just a crazy painting. What is the point of this? So, again, I'm just playing here, and you were warned ahead of time. So if you are still with me and you're still watching, it's your own fault. If it's not interesting, then, I know Stefan's got something going. You can see our stuff later on because it's on YouTube. But if you're still here watching and you're having fun watching, then maybe this is something you want to try. .08 centimeters. Thanks, Sasha. Okay. Now I want to carry that shape that I see there out further. This is just, I don't know why. I'm just going to follow my intuition here. So the shape of kind of her hair there is kind of coming through. I'd kind of like to bring it over to the other side a little. Maybe it'll interfere. Maybe it won't be a good decision. But let's just see what happens. And now her head's sort of falling into this oval kind of shape. It's just a weird painting. And again, I kind of want to bring the background into her a little more. I don't know if it improves it or not, but feels like it should. Okay. Interesting. Tom waits, looking through the window of the evening train. It's like closing time. Pretty soon it'll be closing time. We're at 3:23. Okay. I'm going to pull this up a little here. And I'm going to pull it up a little here. That giant forehead she had before we started is kind of gone. Okay, I just, for the heck of it, want to bring up another frame here. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. This is sort of interesting. I'm going to try and take some of the glare off of this painting. There we go. So, when we started out, we started with this one on the right. I'm really trying to get the glare away. Okay, that's really creepy. So now she looks like a creepy person, but she's way more interesting somehow, I think. And I think there's more I could do, but I don't want to get too crazy here with it. sort of feel like I could take more light out of the top of this. She's some kind of foreign creature. And just taking away the paint is giving me some value changes and some focal areas that take us outside of, maybe this should be called a bad hair day. But there's something about it that I like. The old painting was just a boring portrait. And for me, this has more excitement. I don't know why exactly. Maybe just the activity through it. But it's experimenting like this that gets you going into zones that you haven't been before and doing things you haven't done before. And, just doing what I did right there, I don't think helped it at all. So I'm just going to take that out and bring back the light that was underneath. I know how to do that because I've done that once. Now I know how to do it again, right? So I learned something today with this big long brush that I can get that effect just like that. There's no way I can get more crazy. Yeah. Well, you better ask Stefan about that. I kind of like the colors that are picking up in here. It's sort of like this illuminated, weird, I don't know if it's a man or a woman now. It looks more like a man than a woman. And there's this sort of glow that happens behind. This is just falling out of the sky. Or is it in a creepy room somewhere? Okay. We're at 326. I'm just going to highlight this one again. So the layout so you can see what that looks like. And okay, I'm hoping you're seeing that full screen. Can't tell anymore if it's a male or a female. I kind of like that. I don't know why. It's just kind of fun. And it's turned into something I would have never imagined. But that's the point of playing. And, I could probably do more with this, but I'm very happy to leave it at this stage for now and just let you see all the stages that I've gone through. If you watch this on a replay and see how many stages it went through, you could stand listening to me that long. It's really fun to do this. Just get out your paints, move it around, go over your old paintings that aren't doing anything for you. These old paintings we have kicking around the studio, they're just, sometimes they just don't work. That painting really didn't do anything for me, but this has got something happening that I like. It's more energetic. It's a little more intriguing. So I'm going to turn the camera to me again, and I want to really thank everybody for showing up today. I really appreciate when you check in. Thank you for those of you who have subscribed. I'm going to have kind of a surprise coming up. At some point, I'm not sure, I'll announce this maybe next session or the one after, but my subscriptions went up 100 people subscribed in the last month alone. And I'm very, very happy about that. I think there must be something here or people wouldn't be coming to check it out. And I'm very thankful that you are. If you have questions when you see this later, if you want to post it on Facebook, because I can't see the whole back and forth with the comments that you're making later. I don't know why. It's just StreamYard maybe is the issue, or maybe I just don't have the technology down. But please make comments. I'm happy to answer questions. Please pass this on to anyone who you think might be interested in watching this. Again, there are a lot of younger artists who don't have the opportunity to take classes or go to an art school. And there are some of you who are very developed as painters and you're very good. I'm hoping that I'm opening up some ideas for you guys, things that you can try in your own time, and encouraging you to experiment. I do this with my students all the time. Keep playing, because playing is what will move you ahead, and it'll increase your abilities and give you more confidence in your painting. We don't turn out masterpieces all the time. In fact, if we did, we would be unbearable. So just really work at play, if that makes any sense, and enjoy the process, and you'll grow as a painter, as an artist. I think it's really important to do this. So again, thanks so much for showing up today. Subscribe if you haven't, and pass it on to others who you think might be interested. I appreciate you coming today and sharing this with me. Be safe. Have a great long weekend. I think it is a long weekend for most people. And stay safe in this crazy world out there. And hopefully you'll do some good painting this coming week. All right. I'm going to end it here. Take care. Bye-bye.